Well, it's finally here. Here it is, Deku, the vigilante, as he's standing up here in his Batman pose, overlooking the city. I mean, the heroes are needed right now. Well, we just got done watching the latest episode of My Hero Academia, and it was very insightful of how things are going now and how things will progress for the future. Deku is off on his own. He basically feels that he needs to go off on his own in order to save his classmates the trouble of all for one and make sure, you know, no one else gets killed or they get endangered. And here you have Deku as he overlooks the city, ready to fight the good fight, which makes sense that here he is. It was said that Deku was 16 years old. Here it is, this 16-year-old coming to save society and all that is good, because here you have heroes quitting. You have all these heroes quitting, you know, heroes that have died, and even more quitting because heroes have died and they feel like, oh, I was just doing this for the money, so I'm out. And Deku's like, nah, I gotta be the one to go out there. I gotta save as much people as possible. And that's why the same thing with Tomura, whether or not, when he was talking with the past users, whether or not if he's going to kill Shigaraki or not, he's like, look, I don't plan on killing him. I plan on saving him, but I can't answer that. And that was like, all right, that's good enough. And they're like, okay. I'm glad that they actually, where they're discussing, teaching him that essentially they have learned that any of the past users who already had quirks and then got one for all, they died either they died in battle or died of old age, which is like, how you die of old age at the age of 40? The fact that you already have a quirk and then you add one for all to it, it just saps your life force and then you die early of old age. So it's crazy. More than likely, they're saying now that Deku might just be the very last user. And the reason why they're saying that is because the world is becoming, more and more people are getting quirks. The people that don't have quirks are rare and scarce, like Deku. Because they're so rare, and as the population gets more and more quirks out there, it's gonna be very hard for him or anyone else to find someone that literally doesn't have a quirk that he could pass on to. So he might just be the very last user, one for all, which I think they're gonna there's always a way. There's always a way. Deku's using that as a means of like, I'm the very last user, so I got to prove myself and being the best at it. And he's going rogue. He's out there and he's like, I'm gonna change this world myself if I have to. And it's crazy he's doing it, but more power to him. One thing I did like was this visualization here of how the past users who had quirks and then they ended up getting one for all, how their cup would spilleth over, if you will, because they couldn't contain all that stuff and then they end up dying. But here you have All Might, which is the big chalice, like representing, because All Might had his quirk for 40 years. 40 years, which means All Might is like 50, almost 60, which looks pretty good for his age. He could have been, for all we know, like a teenager, like younger than Deku, maybe like 10 or so. And then, you know, he goes to UA, because they did say he's an alumni, so of course he would have to have had it before he went to UA. So I would say maybe like 5 of those years or so, or around there, he probably, you know, wasn't out and about. But here he is, so he was still All Might that we know and love for at least 30 some odd years. So yeah, he's about 50 to 60, more than likely. I don't know if it's been said his age, I could be wrong. It's crazy. I mean, hey, more power to All Might. You're looking pretty good for his age, I'll tell you that. We talked about this in the last video. If you guys haven't checked out last week's video as far as discussing about Endeavor and Dobby and the creation of a villain, this is one thing that I looked at and analyzed here. The age-old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You always have, you know, good intentions of doing this, good intentions about this. You may start the goal having good intentions, but by the time you look around at the end game, like, hello, you've made things worse. And the same is going with Shimura, the user that gave All Might his power, that had float. She had good intentions about going for All for One. She was basically like, all right, we're gonna fight him. She's been fighting him. Now, of course, we haven't really seen her use her powers in her fight. She intended to fight him and try to rid the world of him as much as possible. But in her pursuit of doing that, she neglected her own child. And because she neglected her own child, he has a child and he ends up being absolutely rude and such a bad father. And then here you go, we have Tomura here, and he's now a big bad villain, because just because she wanted to do what was right and try to take out All for One once and for all, it ended up creating an even bigger issue in the long run. So it sucks. It really sucks, because, like I said, it doesn't appear as bad as Endeavor in his pursuit of creating the perfect child and, creating Dabi in that aspect. But here she is trying to do what is right, yet so longing to do what is right, she neglects being a parent to her child, who neglects being a parent to his child. And there you go, you got a villain. You got a villain that's basically killing all these people. And all it would have taken was just be a good mom. Balance the fact of being a hero, and on top of being someone that's good. Now, granted, she gave her child, I believe she gave her child up for adoption, or, had someone else look after him or whatnot. And all he wanted was a mom to be there for him. But she felt like she had to fight All for One, which resulted in her death. All it takes is a little love and care, and all these people will be alive. All these people will be alive. Midnight, our fallen waifu, pour one out. She would be alive more than likely. All these people will be alive unless, affected by Shigaraki, but we are where we are. Anyway, that's gonna be the analysis this week, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and, maybe got some outlook on it. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube, and make sure you guys hit that notification for future videos that's going to be coming out as we delve into and look into these great shows. And don't forget, hit up the Patreon. That way you can see the most pristine of reactions. But regardless, you guys take care and have a good one. Bye-bye for now.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.